Well, hello there. This is Shahara Wooten with Your Story Financial, and you are watching another episode of the Money Decision Show. Thank you so much for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe, and put a comment below on anything that you have a question on. I'll be happy to answer them. Now, today's episode, we are going to discuss part 3 of Level Up Your Financial Story. Now, in part 1, we talked about the lack of net worth, the racial wealth gap, as well as the wage gap for both gender and race. And we are going through solutions and strategies on how to change that narrative. Part 1, we talked about setting SMARTY goals. So if you have not watched part 1, please go and look for part 1. It will be a link in the description. Part 2, we talked about cash flow management. So really budgeting, that word we do not like, but please watch it and comment, share your resources. But I believe that you'll get some great information out of it. And part 3, we're going to talk about growing your net worth and just really changing the narrative for your financial story, because we all have a story that we want to create, and we have the ability to change it and change that narrative if it's not going down the path that we want it to go. So please like, share, and subscribe, and enjoy part 3 of Level Up Your Financial Story. We talked about that there's the Black community actually has lost part of their net worth. So I want to really talk about growing our net worth and how assets minus liabilities equals the net worth. So it's really important to understand this formula, this equation. So I see a question before we move into the net worth part. How do you determine a budget when you don't get a salary? That's interesting. So you're not getting any funds. That's a tough. I don't know enough about that situation. Is it that you're getting scholarship with school, or okay, gotcha. Okay, so is it that you're on commission, so the money is going up and down every month? So being an entrepreneur, I can definitely relate to that. So what you got to do is you really got to look at, for one, decreasing your expenses, for one. Definitely lowering as much as you can in terms of just the bare minimum. We all need food. We all need shelter. If we're just starting out to being a business owner, a realtor, we're going to need those outfits and everything. So initially you're going to need money for those things. So you're going to have to, and you're going to need transportation. So the 4 things that I definitely recommend that you focus in on are those 4 items. And you just have to really become disciplined in your spending, making sure, honestly, sometimes you have to go for the least expensive food, like the beans and rice or the beans and black quinoa. I don't know, but finding things that you can eat that are going to lower your grocery bill. It's the reality of it. And it's only for a little bit, right? Because you're doing this because you have a vision in mind. So you're going to cut back until you can get back to the spending habits and growth that you feel comfortable with. You have to use, I definitely recommend using like a cash system in terms of where is the money going. Yes, beans and quinoa, right? But yeah, so definitely recommend a system where you can really manage those finances, because you got to manage every dollar that's coming in. I can relate. I definitely know. You may have to, again, you're really going to have to just take an honest look at what's really important for you to spend money on until you get to the place of where you're comfortable, especially if no other income is coming in. Another thing that may need to happen is that you get what we all know is like that new term, I like that. Beans and quinoa is my new go-to. I like that. I'm definitely going to have to hashtag it too. So, but basically, you want to really just look at, like I said, look at all your expenses, look at where you're at. And there was something I was going to say, and then I was so excited about the beans and quinoa hashtag. So if it comes back to me, I'll definitely let you guys know. But definitely get a handle on those expenses. Oh, that's what it was. I was going to say side hustle. You might have to side hustle it for a little bit to bring in that income. And there's a lot of resources out there to do that. I was just sending a message to a client of mine a couple weeks ago who they retired very oh nice very they retired very early, and now they're at the point where they're just really going to start to look at, okay, can I get a part-time job that's going to pay benefits? I did a quick search and I found that there's a whole list of companies that you can do a part-time job with that will pay benefits. So you might have to just kind of work around everything until your real estate business and any other business actually gets off and running. So great question. And yes, I now have a new hashtag, and I see Anna, she made beans and rice today for dinner. Love it. It's delicious. So, and nutritious. So grow your net worth. So again, assets minus liability equals the net worth. We want to build our asset column. We really want to reduce the liabilities column. And that is what is going to make the difference in really moving wealth to the next generation for ourselves and to the next generation. So assets are investments like stocks and bonds, mutual funds, exchange traded funds. There's real estate. Assets also would be your savings account. So that emergency fund, that buildup, or money that you're saving up to put a down payment on a home, or money that you're saving up to take a vacation. That's that money, that cash, and those investments. All of that is going to show up on your asset side, and then your liabilities will show up in your mortgages, your loans, your car loan, your student loan, your credit card debt. So we really want to reduce the liability side. Now, the nice part about the mortgages is that if it's for a property, then we have something on the asset side and we have something on the liability side, but we're trying to still lower that liability and pay those mortgages down so that we can increase our net worth. So it's really important to be mindful of your net worth, and all of us can calculate that today. So I definitely recommend getting a handle on your net worth. And as a part of a comprehensive financial plan with me, I do help people figure out what their net worth is, and then we work on increasing it. So that is something you really want to be aware of. The other thing that we're going to get into in terms of growing your net worth, I definitely recommend saving for an emergency. You probably have heard this, and if not, I'm going to share it. 3 to 6 months saved up in case of an emergency. And this is, again, your non-discretionary expenses. So this is the items that you are only going to focus on when or if you got laid off, or you don't have a job anymore, you don't have an income coming in. So that's how you determine that number. But the emergency fund could be used for the AC going out in your car or your house, or it could be, paying for a new roof. I mean, there's so many emergencies that we can probably think of that you've experienced, that this is going to be a real lifesaver for you. The other thing that I recommend as you're building up your net worth is to put your savings on autopilot. So definitely take a dollar amount every month. We talked earlier in the presentation about setting those SMARTY goals, and someone in this particular example was $250 a month. Somebody who's doing that, I highly recommend them putting it on autopilot. Don't even think about it. Let it come out. It can even come out of your paycheck. And that can really work well for you. Now, for those who don't have an income that is, or do have an income that is fluctuating, your income is not consistent, some of these tools are really helpful. Using tools like Digit, digit.co. If you visit there, it's not a free tool. I think it's free, like an initial time frame, but it looks at your savings account, and it looks at everything, and it provides an algorithm some type of calculation, and then it'll take out a few cents, a few dollars, or what have you to reach your goal. And next thing you know, especially those who are entrepreneurs or on commission, because your income is fluctuating, next thing you know, you now have money saved up that you just didn't feel comfortable putting away. So you want to do your due diligence on it, see if it's something that would work for you. If you bank with USAA, tax savings tool is something that's out there. The Bank of America Keep the Change program, etc. There's a lot of other tools out there. So this is not an all-inclusive list. You may already be using something, but all of these are great ways for you to be able to really take control of your savings. And I just believe if we're doing autopilot, or if we are even bold enough to use some of the apps that are out there, it could really get you towards your savings goal without thinking about it too much. And then combining those old 401ks into IRAs, I definitely recommend that. And that's because and it may not be the case for all people. So as a financial planner, I can evaluate if that's going to fit you. But one of the big reasons is that when you're going from employer to employer, you definitely want to be able to take any of those old retirement plans with you for organization purposes. You also want to understand that the old employer is probably not going to be watching that money like you wish. So if you opened it up at 20 and maybe you were in an aggressive set of funds or investments, and now you're 40 and that may not align with your risk tolerance, that's a reason for you to begin to really take control of all of that. So you want to combine those old 401ks into IRAs. There are some cases where that would not be something you want to do, but in most cases it definitely can work. The other thing is investing consistently. So just like we talked about putting your money on autopilot, your savings on autopilot, and I was talking about emergency fund savings, your investments, those are also ways to save. And you want to make sure that's consistent. You want to be able to do more investing consistently. And I actually just created a course. It's called the Money Decisions Investing Fundamentals course. And it really goes into a deep dive into dollar cost averaging and asset allocation and what's a stock, what's a bond. So you get a lot more. It's about 5 hours of content. So it's a lot more than what we're talking about today. And I'll share that link at the end. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh yes, an emergency fund is peace of mind. That is so true, Michelle. I totally agree. Yes, and so definitely these are ways to grow your net worth. You may have some other ideas on that as well. So please take the time to do some or all of these. Figure out which one's going to be the one that because some of you guys might already have your emergency fund. And so you may need to focus more on your investing side. It really just depends on where you're at. Now I'll get a little bit deeper into investing. Thank you for watching the Money Decisions Show, and that concludes part 3 of Level Up Your Financial Story. Please tune in for part 4, which will talk about the investing side and a beautiful magical thing called compounding. Thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe.